Abby from Glew here, along with my coworkers, Lindsay and Chris. Let them say hi quick.
Hi, everybody.
It's been a minute since you guys have been with us on webinar. Excited to have you.
No, best for last.
The last one, last one for Chris was our holiday webinar last year.
Yep.
Well, we're super excited to have you guys with us today for the fourth and last session in our Black Friday, Cyber Monday webinar series. If you joined us for our previous session, so far we've covered how to use your historical data to plan for your Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy, what you need to know about COVID's impact to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and data-driven customer acquisition strategies. So today we're covering a topic that I think is super exciting and really relevant as we speed sort of headfirst into the holiday season. We're going to be diving into customer retention and how to use data to turn the customers you acquire this holiday season into longtime customers. So we'll give it just a minute or two for some latecomers to filter in, but I'll cover some logistics while we wait. So as you guys know, if you've been with us before, we're keeping these Black Friday, Cyber Monday sessions pretty short and focused. We probably won't go longer than 25 or 30 minutes, but we'll leave plenty of time for questions at the end. So if you do have them as we go, drop them in the chat or in the Ask the Questions box you see at the bottom of your screen, and we'll definitely cover those at the end. We'll also be sending a recording out of the session tomorrow. So if you have coworkers you want to share it with, definitely look out for that in your inbox tomorrow. And you can also view the recordings of all of our previous sessions on our site at glew.io/webinars. You'll see them all there. Cool. And with that, I think we can go ahead and get started. Lindsay, if you want to share your screen.
I believe I selected the right screen now. Can you guys see it?
Yes, that looks great. And I'm going to go ahead and toggle our videos off just so it doesn't cover up the slides, and you'll see us in just a little bit. All right, so again, thank you guys for joining us. We're really excited to have you with us today. All right, cool, there we go, that looks good. I'm gonna just give a quick overview of what we're gonna be covering today before I turn it over to Lindsay and Chris. So our topic today is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and beyond, using data to turn holiday shoppers into longtime customers. And like I mentioned, I think this is a really interesting and really relevant topic. You hear a lot about promotions and acquisition during the holiday season, but not a ton about how to retain those customers once you acquire them. And that's obviously something that's really, really important to think about, especially as you're looking to, increase your lifetime value over time. So today we're going to be covering, why it's so critical to have a data-driven strategy for customer retention after the holidays, how to segment out and identify your new holiday customers, using lapse point, customer status, and other data points to develop a really smart targeted retention strategy. We're also going to be looking at some of the best channels and technologies for customer retention and how to track them in Glew and otherwise. And then some use cases for both how to set yourself up for successful retention now with your initial purchase experience during the holiday season, and then what some leading brands that we see and that we interact with are doing right with retention now. Cool, so I've done a lot of talking with that. I think I'm done, and I will turn it over to Lindsay and Chris.
Awesome. Let me make sure I've got my mouse on the right page. So Chris and I are super excited. As Abby mentioned, I think we've covered a lot of different topics, but this one is definitely our favorite. So for those of you that haven't been able to join us on any of the webinars so far, we hope that today you learned something from us and it helps you get more out of all of your data. So for this final piece of the series, it's all about using the current data, and turning into hopefully long-time customers forever and ever. Chris and I were just talking before this, we cannot believe it's already November 5th. I feel like we blinked and we're at Black Friday, Cyber Monday again. So to kick it off, we wanted to talk a little bit about how large of an opportunity this time of year is. And if you don't focus on your post-holiday retention, you're definitely missing out. Not to state the obvious, but earlier this week, I just saw some statistic that was out of all of last year's holiday sales, I think they said 36% or more of it came just in that Black Friday through Cyber Monday, 4-day span, which is crazy. So out of all of the times that people are shopping for the holidays, 36.5% of it is in that 4-day period. So now fast forward to this year, and with all the uncertainty going on, I think we've seen obviously a huge shift towards online. E-commerce is becoming even more competitive than it already is. So just to kind of reiterate that, it is so important and it's even harder now to acquire new customers, so that if you're able to do a really good job of it up front, it should be that much easier to upsell or retain their business in the future. And I know at Glew, we are constantly coaching brands on all things lifetime value, customer segmentation. Chris is going to touch on a few other things too, but it's not just saying that you're focused on your existing customers, you're also hunting for new ones at the same time. So if we can help teach you guys a few things today about nurturing your existing customers, using effective communication, being proactive, whatever it might be, I think it'd be a really successful webinar for everybody. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the obvious, step one, I think, would be making sure you're focused on the right things during the holidays. That's a pretty big window, as I mentioned. So this first bullet point, just talking about if we can do a good job, capitalize on that 2-month or 4-day window if you wanted to, then it should hopefully help you retain them moving forward. And then how you can best drive more value from those customers, identifying the better prospects or potential customers and working really hard as a company all together to make sure that you're building those relationships even outside or immediately after that holiday season purchase. So first step would be to figure out who those people are. And inside of Glew, we make this really easy. So obviously there's different types of customers coming in, but I think the best thing that I could do is talk about a few different examples, and then I'll jump right into the actual app and show you a couple tips and tricks that we recommend on a daily basis. So first up, identifying those people that you've initially acquired. So acquired in the very first purchase during that time frame. Not just they bought from you in the holidays, but their very first purchase from you forever was in the holiday season. The next thing would be to look at a couple different things besides just when they came on board, but would be, where they came in through. So what acquisition channels did they convert from? What products did they purchase? Do they have now a much higher average order value than your general customer? Or are they spending more in total compared to your typical customer base? So I'll show you a couple different examples, how to identify the best prospects, and then which customers would be the best to keep reaching out to after the holidays. So I'm going to pull up my other window. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah, looks good on my end.
All right. So this is one of my favorite things to segment by, not just always the holidays, but it's really cool to look at when they first were acquired as a customer. So given that we're talking about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we'll jump right in. You could take any of the filters within the customer segment section of the app and really overlap anything. Just to start simple, you want to create these bookends. So their first order date was within a certain window. So I'm looking for, I could either do all of November and December, or I could just look at that 4 or 5 day period, depending on how wide of a range you want to look. Save that segment, give it a name. I already saved this. New customers acquired, holidays 2019. So step one, identify them, check. Now we know who we are working with. The next step would be to figure out what unique characteristics they have. So the next portion would be looking at all of the channel-specific data that we provide right within the app. And I also took this and adjusted it for the holiday season. So I've added this to a report so I could pull it up at any time. And then I've ranked it by lifetime value. So I could do this for just Black Friday, look at all of the new customer acquisition by channel, or again, open up my date range to a wider time frame. And again, this is using a first order attribution, which is great for looking at exactly what we're trying to do, all of the customers we've acquired in a certain time period, but you could also always look at just last click data if you wanted to, since we give you the option to toggle. Now, jumping back, that third point was talking about like what products specifically are converting during that time period. You can look at the pre-built segments, or you could just look at all of them within a date range of the holidays. And I actually took one in particular. You could click into any SKU really, or any tag or category of your products and look at the purchasing customers. So who has bought the Kelly clutch, for example, during this time frame. So you get a nice list of all of those people. You could change the SKU if you wanted to flip around to a different one. And I also always love to point out all of the lifetime value data that we have. So if this was new customers who had ever bought the Kelly clutch, you'd see that they have a lifetime product order of 1 and likely a lifetime order of 1 as well if they're relatively new. So the final piece, really I'll try to kind of combine it into 2, and then I'll kick it over to Chris to talk about lapse point. But going back to that holiday acquisition cohort, you can start to do some really cool things once you have this group created. So that 4th point I think mentioned like identifying high AOV or high spend. This is just saying that they were initially acquired within that date range, but maybe you want to just start asking like, okay, now that we're a year later, we acquired them this time last year. Only show me who's doing something now 12 months later or 6 months in, 3 months in. So if you wanted to overlap any sort of filter based on their orders, you could then just say like, okay, those are my original holiday customers, but now only show me those who are still buying things in 2020 or in Q3 of 2020 by changing this date picker up top. So we'll get into a couple more samples for you, but I'll switch back over to the slides and let Chris teach you a little bit about lapse point.
But to understand what lapse point is, it's actually the amount of time and days that you have to upsell your customer base before that customer most likely is not going to purchase again. So the calculation is actually, it focuses on customers with an amount of orders greater than 1. So it actually will take the average time between each purchase for those unique customers that have ordered more than once. And it's a dynamic and actual upsell window. And the cool thing about lapse point as well, it ties in with a lot of the other integrations, that the e-commerce store is using. So timing is just very important in the e-commerce space because if you're too late, the customer could be swayed by a competitor. If you're too early, you'll make the customer feel annoyed, which could lead to an unsubscribe and no more purchases, with the brand. But yeah, the lapse point is just one of those things. Even if you're a store that's just starting out, just launched, you can actually, inside of Glew, edit that number to be whatever you want it to be. So if you have 2 years of data, it will actually measure that all of those repeat customers to give you that lapse point number. And then also inside of Glew, we segment your customers based off of active, at risk, and lost customers, and that's all based on that lapse point number. So depending on what kind of store that you do have, that number is very important to you. So Lindsay, if you also want to go inside of Glew.io and just show them one of the initial reports that you have on lapse point. Yeah. Even everywhere inside of customer segmentation, if you're doing predefined or creating your own segments with filters, you'll have a nice donut chart to understand date range isn't even applicable in this one, but it's measuring all of your people that have bought 2, 3, 4 multiple times. And that's just a nice snapshot of the business. I would recommend sending this report at least monthly to you. But that's how we're getting that number on lapse point. So again, you can tie that into your email flows. If you're a razor company and your lapse point, is 20 days, understanding that you have that window of time to really set up a cadence that will allow your customers to repeat purchase based off that data. If you're a mattress company, maybe that is 365 plus. But just one of those metrics that people are really wanting to understand to make sure that they retain their customers and they're presenting them, with maybe some guidance after purchase where you're giving them value on what to do with the product, best practices, Maybe if they are in that loss segment where they cross that lapse point number, you could do things like a 1-year anniversary campaign, or send them an email on their birthday, or new product launches. But when they're at risk, that's when you know that they're 80% through that lapse point number. And that's when you should really try to get them to purchase again, make that push, get a little more aggressive than you typically would when they're in that active state. So, yes.
I remember too, when we were brainstorming for this, like, people have to remember, as companies, we're also consumers too. So like, we're going to be shopping for our families and friends and loved ones during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So like, think about how you like to be contacted. And I think, Abby, you said something about this too. Like, nothing's worse than you spending a good chunk of change on a website. You've invested, your time researching, you find it, you stripe your credit card, and then the next day you get an email during Black Friday that's like, oh wait, there's more, without any recognition of a pretty significant purchase. So just remembering that, yes, it's important throughout, regardless of the holiday season, you should be looking at your lapse point. But I think also just making sure that the customer journey really does start over and you're using that lapse point regardless of how many purchases they have made. Because, it just speaks a lot if you can have a brand kind of back off during that active phase and get you excited again. And then, to Chris's point, really push once they're at risk or lost.
Yeah, I actually just ordered some products from a brand that recently became a subscriber of Glew, and they've done a tremendous job just in the first 5 days since purchase of, I think I've gotten 4 emails about the order status, that it's shipped, another email about what to do when I actually get the product. So they've really piqued my interest and done a really good job to get me excited for the package, and done a really good job communicating. So, definitely, recommend that to hit on Lindsay's point of giving value and getting me excited about the purchase before, in 2 weeks being like, hey, purchase again, when, I just spent a good chunk of money.
And if there's any delays too, with COVID, you never know what's going to happen in 2020. So just being prepared to communicate well with your customers, I think too, if there is any sort of delay, just letting them know. I'd rather be notified every day, hey, we're still working on it. Hey, we're still working on it, so that I don't second guess it. But
yeah,
now we have so many integrations now, I feel like, and it's grown so much this year that it should be even more valuable now as we enter the holiday season because of all of the apps we have. So you can talk a little bit more about that, and then we'll show some examples, Chris.
Yeah, this is probably one of those hidden value that sometimes people skip over. But just, I was talking to a company today that was evaluating us and another company, and they were like, you already have all the integrations that I need currently, and then also what we're thinking about going to in the future. So just our integration pipeline, our team that is continuing to add more integrations. All of these integrations we currently have, some are new, some have been around a while. But what's cool about each one of them is they're continuing between their customers or our joint customers. They're adding more data points to their API, which is a great sign because it's more data that we can pull into Glew. You might use multiple of these. They each do, a little bit different things. And it seems like the trend where, a Klaviyo and a Yotpo, where they're not just doing email and marketing, they're getting more into SMS and other things. But that API that they have continuing to grow is just more data that we can pull inside of Glew. So in case you don't know, we're releasing probably 4 to 5 integrations every month. Our Glew Plus and Glew Plus Premium subscriptions are driving a lot of these integrations. For example, Grin, we just added in the influencer marketing space because a customer out of Australia signed up for Glew Plus Premium and they wanted that one. We're going to release that to the entire customer base. Drip's another email tool that is a pretty strong integration that we have. But Klaviyo and MailChimp are what I actually consider two-way integrations, where we pull data into Glew, and then we also have the ability to push data back for customer segmentation. List track is actually the next one that we're adding, but eventually every email tool, I believe, will be able to push data back to. But yeah, investing in the right channels for retaining your customers to understand, how are you actually doing? What are your ratings? Having the ability to, have a good loyalty program in place. Still, email to me, I just read something recently, is still king of setting up those proper cadences to actually stay in touch with your customer base, communicate with them. That's probably what gets me to purchase 95% of the time, where not that I forgot about the brand, but I, get a valuable email where I'm like, oh, I haven't ordered from them in a while. And, I love them. The certain brands that I am loyal to, they definitely do have some type of loyalty program. I'm kind of, I guess, like a loyalty guy, because each brand that I am really attracted to and spend money with, they do have some type of loyalty program. So pulling that data into Glew, is just important. But tracking the performance for retention channels with the different KPIs of engagement, repeat purchases, LTV, all ties in together with that lapse point and just engagement. I always say to my customers and people doing demos and trials, if you're using 12 data sources and you get all of those into Glew, the more data, the better. So you can have that kind of one view of the entire business. So you're not clicking in 12 different tabs. But yeah, our integration engine, there's some great partners here. Our dev team's working with some of their dev team as well to be able to just further the ability to derive growth to your store.
Hey, Chris, if I could add something really quick there. You made such a good point about, tracking those engagement metrics. And I think when you are focused on retention, whether you're focused on retention as a business or just in a phase where you're sort of like, really trying to drive longtime customers, you're still, of course, always thinking about, am I driving orders? Am I creating profit? But you are going to be thinking about different metrics from different channels, like the ones we have up here on the screen. When you're trying to build long-time relationships with your customers, you might not get an order for every email that you send to a long-time customer, but those email open rates and click rates might be a metric that is really important to you. Your loyalty program participation rate might be something that is really important to you. User-generated content might be a metric that you start to track, or product reviews, like all of those things that go towards really building long-term relationships and contributing to customer retention. And those are all things that, A, you can track very easily in Glew, and B, we have a really exciting update coming up, and I know Lindsay and Chris are going to be talking about it, for customer segments, where a lot of those things are going to be default customer segments in Glew. So, your Loyalty Lion, loyalty program participants, or your Yotpo customers who have left product reviews. So I think it's going to be even easier to report on some of that stuff in Glew, which is really exciting.
Yeah, the CSV2 is what we're calling it, segmentation version 2. Right now, you can segment and add filters with your e-commerce cart and then also Google Analytics data. But what we're going to in the future, in the next couple of weeks, is an update that we're really excited about, where you could say, hey, I want to see all customers with my e-commerce data that have ordered twice, that have spent $500 with my store, that came from Google Ads, that have a rating of X, or an open ticket. So it's just combining more filtering capability instead of just the e-commerce cart and Google Analytics with some of these other data sources, and that's going to be native in the Glew.io app. So we're really excited about that possibility.
Yeah, I saw, just to back up what you both said, I saw a really cool report that we built for one of our cosmetics brands the other day that was, looking at more than the obvious. Like, okay, let's take this parent level SKU or this variant level and not just look at the units sold or orders or revenue from it, but line by line compare the quantity of reviews or X number of 5 stars. It's different for different loyalty programs, but say it's a review system and then you're able to see that data, especially with the holidays. Like, if you can increase your reviews per product, I'm sure that'd make it so much easier. Going back to the topic of our webinar, like, hey, how can we best set you up so that once it is time to get repeat business from them, that it's that much easier. So even during the holidays, not just go for orders, but go for those positive reviews too, because it'll just set you up better for the future. Let's see. Next up, we've got a little bit of a recap. So I just said it, how to set yourself up stronger for better customer retention now and what you can do now to hopefully do that. And I think Abby had some ideas here too, but going back to what I hit on earlier, if this is their first time buying from you ever, then really think about how you can tighten up every aspect of them coming to the site, them adding things to their cart, them checking out, receiving their order confirmation, and then everything in between until they actually receive their first purchase. I think if you can really hit home with that, it'll make it that much easier. I think Abby had a couple ideas related to like the types of messaging, and we pulled some examples, but if there's anything else that either one of you wanted to add to this before we jump into some really good strategies that we've seen, feel free.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. And the reason I wanted to kind of add this in here, I thought it was important for two reasons. One is like, if the holiday season goes super well for you guys, you're going to be acquiring, like Lindsay mentioned, a lot of first-time customers who are new to your business. And the number one way to drive retention with those customers before you even get into any of the specific retention strategies is really just to nail that initial purchase experience and make them really happy with the first time they're purchasing from your brand. I think that's the easiest way to kind of set yourself up for retention with those customers in the future. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm 1,000% more likely to go back and shop from a brand again that I had a great experience with the first time than a brand that, was an unpleasant experience, or it was like pulling teeth to find my order status and, they ended up shipping 2 weeks late. So I feel like, there's a handful of things that this year more than ever are so key to do, from, making sure that your checkout process is super seamless, making sure that you're setting really clear expectations around shipping and making it easy to track your shipping status. Lindsay mentioned earlier, if there are shipping delays, just communicate that. I have an order out right now at H&M that's probably 4 weeks delayed in shipping. And they tell me every 3 to 5 days I get an email just reminding me. And that's totally fine. And that's great. And they're doing an excellent job of setting that expectation. As well as the post-purchase experience. It's just like making it easy for them to leave you feedback. If they have to return the product, make that, not a huge headache. That happens a lot during the holiday seasons. And as well as thoughtful post-purchase communication. Don't hammer them with another, offer and, force them to buy something else immediately. Nurture them a little bit, send them some, communication around how to use your product, like ask for feedback, show them how it's adding value to their life. If you do want to push them to buy, make it a related product that can work with the first product that they bought. So just really, I think like nailing that initial purchase is really the first thing you can do to really prime your customers for better retention going forward.
All right. So Chris and I, Abby, you too, especially talking to existing customers for case studies, but Chris and I are on calls all day long, along with the rest of our sales team, with so many different types of companies and brands selling different products that we thought it would be helpful just to share a couple examples that we feel like really speak to us as customers, but also from what we've heard our merchants tell us that they're going to be doing. So if you guys have any questions or other ideas for us, once we recap on some of these, totally happy to hop on a call and share some specific recommendations for you based on your brand. But to start off, I thought this one was great. And Abby, you had mentioned you've bought tons of flowers from them in the past. So, if it is a product that makes sense to offer some sort of subscription and you haven't maybe historically in the past, instead of just having it be 30% off site-wide, if there are people that are coming in to buy just one time, maybe as a gift, something like books.com, that makes sense, but having an option to subscribe and have them basically commit upfront to be a repeat customer, I think is a really cool way to offer a pretty significant discount. I would probably get hooked on that if I saw that as an option. So obviously it depends on what types of products you're selling, but I thought that one was really interesting.
Brooke Linen, one of my favorites. Well, definitely my wife's favorite. But yeah, they just do a really good job of post purchase emails where it kind of makes it your idea to actually buy again. But yeah, is it time to dump that old pillow? Which I think right now at our house we are pretty set with more than enough comfortable pillows. But yeah, just good email where it makes the customer's idea, where it's time to actually purchase again, or just a good reminder. They do an excellent job.
Yeah, I love that one too. Specifically, I've bought a bunch of stuff from Brooklinen this year. I've replaced all of my sheets. I've got a bunch of new duvet covers, and I thought this was so neat because they're building on what you've already purchased from them, and they're offering just a different category of product that is relevant. Like, I would be mad if I just bought a duvet cover and they were like, hey, here's a deal on duvet covers. It's relevant. It fits well with what I've purchased already, and I think they do a really nice job.
Sephora, my favorite. I was just thinking about this when we were talking about the reviews. Like, there are so many products on a website that I'm a big fan of reviews. Like, if I'm staring at 2 mascaras from a brand I love, I'm kind of like, oh gosh, which one do I pick? So I love Sephora. I love their loyalty programs. I'm not quite Rouge, but I think I'm getting close there. So just having those different tiers, very different types of customers, and maybe, just feedback, Sephora, if you're listening. I'm just kidding. But, I had no idea what level I was. So I'm getting all of these emails from Sephora, and I had to log in to go check to see. I was like, ooh, my Rouge, I have no idea. So, making sure that if you do have loyalty programs in place, letting people know, a Mark Miano favorite is if you're a VIP customer or their most loyal type customer who's left a ton of reviews and they were walking down the street and you tap them on the shoulder, like Sephora, and they said, hey, Lindsay, do you know Sephora? And I said, yeah, I'm a Rouge VIP customer. Every loyal customer that you have, if they mean something to your business, they should know it. So not only just having it set up, but making sure that you're constantly reminding them and thanking them for their loyalty. This is a good one too.
To go back to that one second, I am such a, I don't know if it's because I'm competitive or what, but Nordstrom does a good job too of this, of letting you know what level you are. But you're like, God, I guess I better spend more money. I want to be on the elite, most upper enterprise tier. So definitely, to echo Lindsay and Mark, definitely letting them know if there is another tier that they can get to, or if they've already reached the highest, rung, make sure that they know that.
For sure.
Yeah, so just another referral program of getting the name out there, and you not having to spend maybe the advertising dollars to acquire that new customer, having your customer base do the work for you. So just Postmates actually does a good job of this as well, where maybe you benefit by sending a link to someone or an email to someone, and then they also benefit as well. It's just a great strategy.
And I think too, we were talking about gift guides the other day, Abby and I were, and it's we're all busy. Maybe we have a little bit more free time now with some of us still working from home, but if there's anything that can save me time, I think referral programs could be really interesting during the holidays. If you've found a gift that you're excited to give somebody, and maybe you turn to a friend or a cousin or a sister, hey, I just got this for my boyfriend. I'm going to send you this link. You get $20 off. You should get one for Kevin, whatever the case may be. So I think you could do some really fun stuff with that during the holidays. Ooh, Abby, you can talk on this one. I love this brand, but just talking about all the different marketing content.
Yeah, absolutely. So this has been, content has been something that's come up a lot this year. I think as, not only a marketing channel, but really as a way to just build community and build retention among your customers. We've had a couple customers of ours who have done a really great job of really kind of pivoting their content strategy, with the pandemic and just with everything going on this year. I think pivoting from a very transactional kind of approach to just, providing some really interesting and great content that goes along with their brand. And I think Yumi does a great job of that. Oatly is a client of ours that does a great job with that. So I think just providing this great content, whether it's email content or blog content, that shows people how to use your product, how to work your product into their lives, but also outside of that, just general content. Like a lot of this, Yumi has a great blog that a lot of it has nothing to do with their product. It develops that brand loyalty and really like makes them, more inclined to keep coming back to your site. I think that's just a great way it gives them a reason to interact with you, even when they're not buying a product, which is only going to drive retention. I think you can get really creative with it, which is cool.
I had one more idea that just popped in. I want to be conscious of time, but I'm going to pull the app back up because this was something a personal client of mine at Glew did, but I had actually purchased something from the site. So kind of similar to you, Chris. I saw that they created a segment that was basically like, last order, or maybe it's actually first order. So like first order has been in the last 30 days. Or if you're doing this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you could do like, hey, it's been in the last 7 days. And maybe you're saying has a revenue over a certain amount. Like, I don't know, it'll depend on what the typical average order value is for a client, but this is like deodorant. So say I did, $30. I'm going to go really high. So this is basically a cohort now that's saying these are people who just recently bought for the very first time within this last 7 days. Their revenue is already greater than or equal to $30. And they retargeted me on Instagram, but it was like a thank you message. So, cutting through the clutter, people are going to be pounded with ads during the holidays, especially on Instagram and Facebook, depending on, geographically where you're sending out these ads. I know there's different privacy rules, but high revenue new customer thank you is what they did, because you can sync this with the email platforms or export and put it right into Facebook and Instagram. I thought that was really cool. And given that it's going to be a really crowded time on our phones with lots of ads, I thought that would be a really good tip for everybody to learn too. So that's all we had for today. We can open it up for any questions anybody has. I don't know if there's been anything in the chat yet, but.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Lindsay. That's great. And I totally agree on your last point. Like, I think those thank you messages are such a great way to really stand out and add value. And that's really what, driving retention is all about. It doesn't look like we've had any questions yet. I just, posted in the chat, but yeah, if you have questions, let us know. We'll hang on the line for just another minute or two. So we'll wait around. Otherwise though, so if you are a current Glew user today and you have questions, you want to walk through any of this with us, reach out anytime at support@glew.io. If you're not a Glew user yet, there is still plenty of time before the holiday season to implement some of these strategies. You can reach out to Lindsay and Chris. Their emails are up there. We've got our free trial and our scheduled demo links up there as well. And I'll send this landing page out tomorrow with the webinar follow-up. We've also got our Black Friday, Cyber Monday guide linked on here. There's lots of good tips in there. Some of them we covered today. Some of them are new. So that's a really great resource to check out if you guys haven't already. I would definitely recommend that. And the recordings are, again, all linked on the website. And we will be following up tomorrow with the recording of today's session if you want to rewatch it or share it. All right, well, I am not seeing any questions, so I think we're good.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Yeah,
yes.
Fun.
And yeah, thank you, Lindsay and Chris, for sharing your expertise with us. I'm gonna just toggle our videos back up really quick so we can say a quick goodbye. But thanks to all of you so much for joining us for all of our Black Friday Cyber Monday series. This has been really great, and we're definitely looking forward to creating some more content and working with you guys, between now and the end of the year. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Abby.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.